Greetings, salutations, welcome one and all. What is happening in the background there? That's not my Twitch chat. Get out of here, you random Twitch chat. Refresh. Is that working? Maybe. Who knows? What has happened? I've broken it. Whoopsie. Alright, well. While that attempts to reconnect itself, let me try that again. Nope. Not gonna work. Refresh, please. No, it doesn't want to work. Okay, hold on. Up. Tech goblins! Yes, the tech goblins. They have attacked me! Alright, one sec. While I fix this up, hey guys, welcome in. My name is Michael. I'm the Dead Aussie Gamer. This is my place. This is my face. And you can find it here a lot of the time during the week. Thank you to all the people who just raided in from Winter's Tales, who we have just done our world building stream with. Four Corners was so much fun. It was freaking amazing. I'm like sweating for how freaking fun it was. It's always really good to get to hang out with such amazing people. AJ Winters is such an incredible world builder. I always have fun, getting to play with them and doing cool and fun things, as well as getting to hang out with you guys as well. And, actually also be able to see so many people just coming out for support and love. Catchy Cantrers, good to see you as well. Now, what do we do today is we do a DAG Reads. DAG Reads is just a show where I sit around in chat and read a book because, reading is one of those things that I never really got into too heavily as a child. And it was one of those things where I was like, as I grow up as an adult, it's just like, I don't read enough books. So as a GM, I always want to improve my vocabulary. I want to improve my skills. So I thought, hey, Sunday is a great opportunity for me to hang out with chat, find out about you guys, how your week's been, what you've been up to, as well as read one of the very, very first books that I ever read of the fantasy genre. This is Emily Rodda's Rowan of Rin, and we'll do a recap in a little bit. But we're through this book. We're having a lot of fun with it. But yeah, we'll talk about that. It's probably mid-morning for now. That's very true. It's probably mid-morning. Jeez, it is. If I had to guess, I would say if you're on the East Coast, it's probably about 9:30 a.m. If you're on the West Coast, it's probably if you're on the West Coast, it'd probably be like what, 6, 7 a.m. Jeez, yeah. Anyway, split the party. Good to see you, buddy. How you doing? Oh, I love your face. Why are you awake? Isn't it late for you guys? Anyway, stick around. This is a super chill stream, as I like to say. We're just gonna be chilling out, nice and easy, with some good reading music. Now, I am hot, sweltering, but I have with me a watermelon ramune. This isn't a tradition that we do in the channel, but I'm so thirsty, and I'm just gonna drink this. But I actually haven't drunk this before, so, preemptively, we're absolutely going to try this out and tell you what a watermelon ramune tastes like. It's a Japanese drink, so there you go. 1:20 a.m. No worries, guys. If you need to lurk and leave, or if you just need to leave, have a safe, wonderful, and amazing day or night, or whatever time it happens to be. You have all of my best, and always remember this one truth about the world and reality as we know it. We are often critical of ourselves because we spend most of our time scrutinizing us more than any other people. But know that, at the very least, one human being in this world believes in you, thinks that you have everything you have to deal with the world and all of the challenges you will face, and that person is myself. I truly believe that you will have an amazing day, and I hope with all of my heart that that is the case. Good. All right. So let's try this melon thing. Don't explode, don't explode, don't explode! Safe! Okay, good. I'm not dead. Ha 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 ha. You can see who's a raider. I can't see who's a raider. It identifies you. It locates you. Alright, so here we go. Melon ramune. So ramune, for those of you who don't know, is a lemonade type drink from Japan. Ramune literally being like kind of the word for lemonade. With different flavors. It is very, very popular as what's known as a dashi. Which, not dashi as in the fish, but there's like kind of a candy store where kids would buy stuff like this to play with. And in the center of it, which you can kind of see sort of there, is a marble. And if you once you drink it, you can actually, I mean, you could, I mean, some of these don't, but you know, there you go. You can actually get the lid off and then use the marble for like marbles. And so like a lot of the dashi were actually used for dagashi, sorry. Yeah, a lot of these were used as like little playthings as well. And that's kind of a really cool element to, I think, Japanese culture. Is a lot of sweets came with toys to entertain kids, because a lot of kids didn't get pocket money. So you would like have like a lollipop, which would also be a whistle, and that's where those whole whistle pops originally came from and stuff. So I love that idea. You don't see much of them anymore. So here we go. The perfect sip. All right. Perfect carbonation. The lemon element isn't there. The watermelon tastes like that kind of sweet watermelon you would find in kind of like, almost like, you know, popping candy when you have watermelon flavored like sugar candy. It tastes very much like that. It is cool. It's crisp. Aftertaste isn't unpleasant. It doesn't give you that like oversaturated like sweet saliva that kind of like, you know when you kind of get gummy, you know, when you drink something sweet. Doesn't give you that, which is really nice and crisp. Actually, split the party. That is another, that is kind of the case. But, truth be told, the actual ball does obstruct the top, but that's because this is actually a puzzle bottle. So if you actually flip it onto the wrong side, which is this side here, I'm not going to do it because it's going to spill it all over me, and I know it will, right? But if you drink it on that side, the ball will roll and block up the entrance. That's not the perfect sip. What you're actually supposed to do is drink it this way around with the two indentations facing towards you. So the ball actually catches there and allows you to drink freely. It's another part of that puzzle element to the game part of the drink. So, yeah, whoever told you that it was for the perfect sip, nah, that guy was lying to you. It was making fun of you. It's basically, there's a right way to drink it. and people who like trick you the other way, it's really funny. Yeah, it's just, yeah. But I mean, I've never heard the perfect sip idea. I mean, everyone's obviously mouth and taste and stuff like that are very different. So there you go. Time for a nap. Have an amazing stream. Thank you so much, Catchy. We'll see, Ash. We'll see you later. And guys, please go and follow if you don't get a chance to. Let me do some quick shout outs. 2 shout outs here. First of all, a big shout out to our dear friend Ash from Catchy Cantrips, who along with their partner run an incredible stream of Dungeons and Dragons over on their channel. And in addition, ladies and gentlemen, please go and check out my dear friend Matt Brown at Split the Party TV. Now, Split the Party TV doesn't do as much of the TTRPG stuff recently, if I'm not mistaken, but there are lots of plans in the works. There are lots of stuff available on their VODs. Plus, they do an incredible amount of gaming as well as miniature painting. And honestly, like, I mean, you guys know me. I'm not all about, like, the big name celebrities and stuff like that. I'm after the cool dudes. Who are the cool people that you want to spend time with? And no joke, Catchy Cantrips, Split the Party, these are cool dudes to go and hang out with. And of course, the last and most important shout out that I can give today is, of course, none other than Winter's Tales. Guys, please go and check out Winter's Tales. I know many of you came in with the raid as well, but those of you who didn't, AJ Winters, fellow Perth Australian, was absolutely wonderful to get to play with them doing some world building and stuff. Go and check them out and all of their cool things. We'll also be doing a few special events coming up very soon as well, so stay tuned for those. Now, let's get to reading, shall we? So, we're so supportive of each other. Thank you, Jasper. We do try, you know, like, it's very hard to be in an industry without that kind of, like, friendship, like, genuine friendship. And for me, that's paramount to anything, you know. I love my friends and the people I work with very dearly, and I look forward to having fun with them and doing cool things. So, yeah. All right, let's talk about Rowan of Rin. Rowan of Rin is a 5-book saga that was written by Emily Rodder. It starts in the village of Rin, a small town nestled in the mountains of a land simply known as Rin. Now, the people of Rin are not alone in this particular land. There are others, such as the Maris folk and the travelers, who live relatively in peace throughout this area. But the story is not of them. It is of a small farmer, a Bukshah farmer, a young boy by the name of Rowan. Not Rin. A young boy by the name of Rowan. Now, unlike the rest of his village, Rowan was quite weak, very, very cowardly, and frail. When the river water by the town of Rin stopped running, the townsfolk went to the witch Sheba in order to try and find some clue as to what had happened. Sheba, angered by the obnoxiousness of the fellow Rinians, emblazoned a blessing upon Rowan so that he and only he could read the map to help them traverse the mountain behind their village and find the source of the problem, stopping the water. So the seven strongest and bravest of the people from Rin climbed this mountain in order to find out what was wrong. But one by one, as the prophecy predicted, even the bravest and strongest of these people began to fall. Not dead, but just unable to finish the journey. It was only Rowan who managed to get to the top and confront the large dragon at the top of the mountain. By removing a thorn in its paw, it was able to free it from the pain and suffering it was inducing, but it was still enraged and angry. With its fiery breath, it managed to unfreeze the ice from near the area and once again cause the river to flow back to Rin. This was what, in the first book, cemented the legend of Rowan. But this was not the end of his adventures. In Book 2, we saw the people of Rin finding a new produce, a type of berry that they had found while traveling the mountain and tried to cultivate. But this was not, how can I put it? This was not the best of ideas, for the travelers, allies of the people of Rin, had come to town, and originally the people of Rin were trying to be very secretive, not letting them know about the berries, which was a mistake because the travelers had sensed something wrong. These nomadic people had made their way to the people of Rin because they suspected something was up. Instead of telling them their problems, instead the people of Rin began to suspect them of stealing the berries and began kind of being quite miserable and mean about it, eventually driving the travelers away. It wasn't until the people of Rin started to fall ill to a sleeping sickness that Rowan, along with Alun the baker, who was a half-traveler member of the town, went to go and confront the travelers, believing that they had poisoned the people. Instead, they found out the travelers knew nothing and helped them along with Zeal, the travelers' adopted daughter, to find out what was the true cause of the people of Rin's sickness, finding out that the berries actually belonged to large treant-like creatures who were responsible for the wiping out the original civilization that belonged to the travelers themselves. Quickly, they managed to make their way back to the town and save the townsfolk before the trees were, able to kill them all. There was a whole bunch of other stuff as to how they did that, but not so much important as the fact that Rowan, Alun, and Zeal were the heroes of the day. But this is, of course, not the end of Rowan's story, for in book number 3, it was discovered that Rowan's ancestry goes back to ties with the Maris people, an amphibious group of individuals that live on the coast, whose duty it is to keep back the invading species, or the invading people known as the Zebak. Fun fact, Zeal of the Travelers is actually a Zebak who was adopted by the Travelers themselves. But the power to keep back these Zebak came from a person known as the Keeper of the Crystal. Every generation, the Keeper of the Crystal begins to fade and seeks out a new candidate among the different tribes of the Maris folk to replace them and take on the duty of protecting the shores. However, it does not fall to the Maris to make this decision, but instead, a person from Rin, descended from the first slaves that were brought over by the Zebak, who eventually became the people of Rin. This lineage, as you probably guessed, is tied to Rowan and his mother. So Rowan and his mother journeyed to the Maris people's lands, where the Maris welcomed them graciously, but his mother was poisoned before a choice could be made, leaving Rowan with the decision of how to pick the next Keeper of the Crystal. Realizing, of course, that he had only limited time to try and save his mother, he insisted the candidates go with him to an ancient ritualistic island, find the pieces of a cure, and save his mother, which he manages to do, learning that was all in itself a test to decide who the next keeper should be. This forever ties Rowan to the choice. He decides which one of the people should be the keeper, and that Keeper of the Crystal is now permanently tied to the mind of Rowan. That was, of course, our book 3. Book 4, by the way, if anyone has any questions, please ask, and at any point in time, ask questions and talk and stuff. And we will go through chat in just a moment. In book 4, everything is good. Everything is well. Rowan's mother is about to remarry, and is about to marry a good friend of Rowan's, Strong John of the Orchard, one of the people who went up with him to the mountain in the first place. But amidst these joyous celebrations, Anad, Rowan's younger sister, was grabbed by a grash. It's hard to say. A giant flying lizard. Not quite a dragon, but giant flying, like, tank lizard type thing. Grabbed hold of Anad and took her away. It was very clear from the iron shackles around its neck that she had been taken to the land of the Zebak. Along with Perlane of the Maris people, who was a guide to Rowan, Zeal of the Travelers, and Alun the Baker, Rowan gathered a poem from Sheba the Witch and journeyed to the land of the Zebak to rescue his sister. Finding out, of course, that the Zebak intended to invade Rin once again, this time not by the sea in order to avoid the Keeper of the Crystal, but instead by air, because, of course, mwahaha, we can fly over the ocean, and they will be none the wiser. The Grash that kidnapped Rowan's sister was merely a test. But Rowan, arriving in the land of the Zebak, found not only the terrifying barbarians that lived there, but also found the origins of his people, the last 3 remaining people of Rin. These were not big, strong warriors like the other people of Rin. These were 3 poets, artists. Oh, well, 2 poets, artists, and intellects. Because apparently when the Zebak invaded Rin the first time and brought the slaves with them, they brought the strong and the mighty, leaving behind a whole other portion of his people, which were exactly like Rowan. With the exception of one of the individuals, who was Norris, who was very much like a person of Rin, big, strong, mighty kind of thing. These were the last 3 remaining slaves of the Zebak, who were of Rowan's people, and together with them managed to plan an escape, unfortunately at the loss of the grandfather. Racing back to the town of Rin, they informed them of the impending invasion, but all but too late. You see, the invasion did indeed come, but there was one last poetry, one last bit of prophecy that the witch had given them. Instead of fighting, Rowan instructed the entire townsfolk to hide, and in doing so, allowed the invasion to arrive into the airspace around Rin. However, while the sea belonged to the large sea serpents and the Maris people, the skies belonged to something else. The dragon. The dragon made short work of the army of the Zebak, and whatever small amounts of people survived, managed to return with a tale to tell. Also, hello, Dino Queen of Bananas. I can tell that you are a fan of World Anvil, or either that, or you are actually Janet. Whatever the case is, welcome in. Now, this brings us to our current book. With the town safe, all their enemies somewhat defeated, there was one other obstacle left for Rowan. An unseasonable winter grips the town of Rin. This has posed a massive danger, for the Bukshah, who the people of Rin rely on, are slowly dying to this never-ending winter. Stories and tales had been told previously about this winter, and they were not prepared for it. The townsfolk had to abandon Rin, leaving behind only bare essentials. These bare essentials being Old Lan, the mayor, who was too old to be able to make the journey. Brondon, the furniture maker, who would have to stay behind to ensure the safety and well-being of Lan and the other people who were staying behind. And Rowan of the Bukshah, who was to care for the Bukshah in the winter so that as many of the herd would survive by the time that they came back. Now, during this particular instance, as the people were preparing for their journey, Neil the Potter, a person who believed that the new members of Rin, this is Sharan and Norris, who had come from the land of the Zebak, had brought this winter with them, had brought trouble with them, and that their old ways and their old people were angering the mountain, which is what their wrath was about. In a scuffle, Norris's leg was injured, and he was also no longer able to travel, Neil having retreated in order to hide himself basically to hide himself from repercussions. Sharan and Norris also stayed behind. Sharan because Norris was her brother, and she refused to leave him behind. With our small contingent left behind, the winter did not let up, and Rowan was given one last prophecy from the witch, to see things as she does. And Rowan has begun to see visions, strange and unusual. They tell him that he needs to climb up the mountain with a group, a small, unassuming group. The riddle is as follows, which I will now read to you guys because these riddles are very important to the story. And don't worry, we will read them like a million times because they always repeat them. Okay, here we go. The riddle is as follows. The beasts are wiser than we know, and where they lead, 4 souls must go. One to weep and one to fight, one to dream and one for flight. 4 must make their sacrifice in the realm twixt fire and ice. The hunger will not be denied. The hunger must be satisfied, and in that blast of fiery breath, the quest unites both life and death. So using this rhyme, they have learned that the Bukshah, who managed to get out of their garden, out of their paddock, knew something that they didn't. So Rowan, who was the one to dream, Sharon, who was like Rowan, very frail, very cowardly, one to weep, and one to fight. This was, of course, Norris, who decided to come along because Norris refused anything other. And one for flight. This was, of course, well, I'll reveal that in just a moment. But the 3 of them originally went up the mountain. During the time they went up the mountain, Neil the Potter revealed himself again, as well as a new danger. The worms that you can see on the book here have used the snow, and while they are kind of almost allergic to heat and flames, with them out in the fields, they managed to attack, and Brondon was actually injured in the scuffle against them. So Brondon and Old Lan remained in the village, the rest of them traveled onwards, and Neil, unfortunately, lost their life. With that being said, one for flight, as our heroes have climbed the mountain and now made their way through a multitude of challenges. They have been joined by Zeal, who met up with the people of Rin and has gone back to join Rowan because, quite frankly, it's Rowan, and she is very fond of her friend. So there you go. We are now at a juncture where the group was about to be devoured by a group of these large serpent-like creatures, but they found out about the kind of almost poisonous nature of heat against them and managed to kill one, using its body to scale up a mountain into a small secluded cave where they have waited overnight. There is a crawling, creeping, critching sound from above as our heroes are trying to sleep through this rather intense situation. Let's go through chat real quick before we start our read. Jasper, I have to ask before I force myself to actually get some work done. If someone actually knows you or catchy cantrips, how would one do so? If you want to get to know me, so yeah, just seriously follow my channel, or even come hang out with me on my Discord. Anytime someone @s me in Discord, it's a perfect way to get to know me. Honestly, I think my content speaks for myself because I don't do performative work. I mean, I do performative work, but it's like shows like this is me. This is just who I am. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be, me. If you like me, then great, fantastic. We'll get to know each other as well. I get to know a lot of the people in my chat. It's not a big community, but it's a close community, and you'll find that very, very easily with my guys. Dino Queen is a fun name. Yes, it's a very fun name. Hey, Flyer Bowman, good to see you. Very relaxed, gentle belly rubs for your cat. Amazing myth. I think that is a perfect way to start today. Professor Clunk, hey DAG, missed most of the 4 corners, but what I did see looked fun. Any possibility of you appearing in COA? I don't know what I can reveal or what I can't reveal. Let's just say that there have been talks about that. So that is a possibility. Making friends as a traveler is hard. Yeah, it is, 100%. I used to move around between Singapore and Australia quite a lot when I was, for a few years when I was a kid. It is hard. It is hard. Jasper Percy still here trying to sleep now that it's light. Aw, Ash. Yes, you can constantly message me directly or hang out with us as Desert Game on the Discord. Absolutely, 100%. And like I said, I will also happily vouch for the Catchy Cantrip group. Their community is also incredibly warm and welcoming, and It's amazing to always see that as well. It's not just the performers you see who are really friendly and stuff, but also the people that surround them is a good sign of what they're like. If the people around them are cool, you know that they're cool people. You guys are so supportive. Okay, cool. I think we have hit back to where we are. Watermelon, peach, and cherry are your favorite ramenes. Ooh, I like yuzu, but I can't find it anywhere. I'm too sweet. No, I'm not. I'm a bastard. You need to tell everyone that. You can't tell people filthy lies like I'm a nice person. No, it's fine. Thank you so much, Ash. Yeah, look, I'm a big sucker. I am. Let's see. Okay, I think we've caught up with most of the chats. You saw an ad for the ball thing. Yep, right. That makes sense. Napping in the sun with my eyes struggle. Oh man, like, look, so I'm photosensitive. I actually can't stay under stage lights for too long. Whole thing. If you want to ask me about it, we'll ask it between the chapters. But one thing that really, really helps, if you do get a chance to, is actually hydrate your eyes in some way before you put like some like cloth or something over it. Like, I know it sounds really lame, but like those cucumber slices idea actually really works because it does hydrate that. But yeah, I've actually got, do I have it in here? I don't know if I have it in here. I do not. Okay. I actually got these really dope, like light blinding, like, I know it's like a blindfold, but it's not a blindfold. It's like, it's actually got like little like vents to like air out your eyes as well. So it's a whole thing. Yeah. Hydrate your eyes, do that. It'll help immensely with like restful naps. Fun fact, I am the unofficial record holder of the world's longest D&D game, which was 86 hours. So I learned all of the tricks for like power napping, how to actually have like REM sleep in like efficient ways, whole bunch of stuff. So yeah. My content's all travel and tattoo related. Oh, nice. Geez, what? I can't remember his last name, but there's a really cool tattooist who does D&D stuff. His name is Chad, and they just did a thing with Realmsmith. I think it's called Ink something. It's stressing my brain. Go check out Realmsmith. And there is a really cool show that I think you'll appreciate, Jasper, on there. I'm asked for sleeping at great. Yeah, absolutely. Classic cucumber eyes. Classic, very classic. Okay, no, never. I will not accept love. It is not a commodity here. It's a free exchange. That's what it is. All right. Chapter 15. Shadows. And like I said, we're going to chat between chapters, so if you have any questions, or if you want to talk about other things as well, let me know in chat. Okay. Whew. Oh, by the way, before we start, Bukshah are kind of like giant yak-like creatures, so I want you to imagine like kind of like a bison, but with like more shaggy, like kind of like the Scottish foal cows, you know, kind of thing. Yeah. Okay. The Bukshah were walking in single file up a narrow stairwell cut into the rock. They did not look as Rowan remembered them. Their heads were high, their horns were sharp and white, their thick coats seemed to glow, their hooves gleaming in gold within the sunlight. Rowan was climbing the stairwell after them, following the prints of the golden hooves. He was filled with dread, his legs aching, but he knew he could not stop. There was no choice now. There was no turning back. We must follow the beasts. Unwillingly, Rowan raised his eyes. At the top of the stairs gaped a dark, steaming mouth. Huge in the mist of rocks, there was a seam which was pitted almost like an ancient face. Hunger. His eyes blurred. The steps gleamed, dazzling as it climbed upwards. Dreaming? Am I dreaming? Rowan awoke, his mouth dry, his heart pounding. He opened his eyes, but only saw blackness. For a single terrible moment, he thought he had lost his vision. And then he heard Norris, Sharan, and Zeal calling to one another, and to him. He remembered what he felt like, and what he had heard just before he had lost consciousness, and the words of the rhyme which now echoed within his mind. They were taunting him. Hide within the rocky walls, be still while icy darkness falls. Frantically, he cursed himself for a fool. The last words of the rhyme had told him what was going to happen, told him in plain words, though he had failed to understand it. The overhanging cliff tops, the great shelf of rock burdened with snow, the squirming ice creepers had broken away and fallen. Snow and rubble now piled up against the cliff face. The cave mouth was now blocked. Rowan felt sweat break out upon his brow. They were trapped, hidden within the rocky wall indeed. Hidden forever. The dark seemed to press upon him. Blindly he felt for his flint and pulled a torch from his pack. As the torch flared, he caught a glimpse of Sharan, huddled against the wall, Zeal kneeling with her head in her hands, and Norris crouched by the cave mouth, holding his walking staff. The narrow triangle at the entrance now gleamed white with snow. Norris swung around with grimace and pain as his movement pulled up and stretched at the wound by his side. "Put that out!" he roared. "The flames will eat the air we breathe, and there's little enough here as it is." Hurriedly, Rowan did as he bid, shamed that in his panic he had not thought of it himself. He heard Norris's grunt with effort. Ugh. And then a thrusting, crunching sound as his staff plunged into the snow. The sound came twice more, then suddenly Norris gave a shout of triumph. "Ah!" Rowan felt a small draught of cool air upon his face. "I'm through," Norris called. "We're in luck. The blockage is mainly snow, I think. And the snow isn't even that thick if my staff is this long." He began jabbing at the snow again, and soon a patch of dim light glimmered among the inky darkness. The draught of cool air began to grow stronger. "The creepers," whispered Sharan. "They'll be waiting." "I would rather face 100 ice creepers than remain in this tomb," Zeal said. "But it is safe to light a torch now, so please do so." "Norris, Rowan and I will help clear the way. At least then, if it comes to it, we can make a fight of it." But the torches Sharan had hastily then lit flickered low by the time Norris, Zeal, and Rowan had made the gap wide enough to crawl through. And when at last the four cautiously squeezed one by one onto the great pile of rocks and snow which now sloped to the ground from the cave entrance, the only ice creepers seemed to be the dead one laying restlessly against the side of the wall. A sulky dawn was breaking, and a dull red stained the sky. The companions stumbled to the ground level, slipping on heaped snow and treading upon the remains of dozens of crawlers laying crushed and withered behind the banks of broken chunks of stone and rock. When they looked about them, they saw that it was not only the overhang above their cave which had collapsed, but a long portion of the black cliff face. The giant boulder that they had once clustered on at the top was now at the foot of the hill, toward the west, and they were now invisible beneath a jumble of snow, rocks, and dead trees. Everywhere were the partially covered bodies of the ice creepers, mangled and grey. So many. Rowan shook his head. It was as if someone had whispered this in his ear. But that could not be so, for he could hear his companions talking to one another not far away. "The dead creepers must be just a few of all those who were here. Think how many more must have escaped this," Norris was muttering. "Why, there must have been hundreds, moving in on us." "How did so many know where to find us?" Sharan asked. "I think they must sense our warmth," Zeal said. "But whatever the case is, it's fortunate that we did not camp in the shelter once the But whatever the case is, it is fortunate that we did not camp in the shelter of one of those boulders as I thought we might. We would have been killed, certainly, if not by the creepers, then by the collapse of this cliff. It was only because we were hiding in the cave that we were spared." "No one will be spared. Nothing will survive. Cold. So cold. There are so many. So many." The words hissed through Rowan's mind, and there was a flicker at the edge of his vision, and he saw all around him were shadows, wavering shadows with gaunt, starved faces and hollow eyes. And with horror he recognized beneath the lines of suffering features which he knew. Features of John of the orchard, of Brondon, the furniture maker, Timon, the teacher, and his mother. A deep shuddering began within him. He felt hot and freezing cold. His mind seethed with whispers, hissing and echoing, twisting and mingling, sliding upon one another. So many. Too many. What have we done? Rowan pressed his hands to his ears and squeezed his burning eyes tight shut, but it was no use. The shadows pressed about him. You could still hear the whispers, still see the familiar faces hideously changed, his own mother's hair grey and ashen, her eyes red with weeping. We knew too much, and too little. We have been wrong, so wrong, and now the mountain makes us pay. Someone then touched Rowan's hand. Rowan? A soft voice called. The shadows faded, and the whispers died. Rowan swayed. Rowan, you're not well, he heard Sharon say. You're faint. Her voice rose. Norris, Zeal! Rowan heard exclamations and felt stronger arms lower him gently to the ground. He sat with his head bowed, and gradually waves of sick dizziness grew less and less as the world came back into focus. Zeal and Norris were on either side of him, Sharon kneeling in front of him, offering him water. Gratefully he drank, his head throbbing. The dim light seemed to hurt his eyes. I'm so sorry, he mumbled. I couldn't help. Was it another rhyme, Rowan? Tell us! No, Rowan says. Not another rhyme. I saw... He then breaks off with a shiver. Zeal had been watching him keenly. I think there is something you must tell us, Rowan, she said. I have thought so for some time, but this is not the time or place. We are too exposed to danger here. Are you able to walk? Rowan managed to nod, and she helped him to his feet. We will take it slowly, she said, and I will help you. But the Bukshah tracks... but the Bukshah tracks were covered when the cliff fell, Norris frowned, looking around. We've lost the trail. Zeal shook her head. I saw the trail from the air last night. I had followed the cliff west and then entered a grove of trees. I think the herd may have stopped in the grove to feed, for the trees were very thick and evergreen. At the very least, we will pick up the trail there. They began to walk, staying close beside the cliff, picking their way across the mass of icy rubble. It was difficult, but all felt safer without the deep snow around them. At first, Rowan leaned on Zeal's arm as she had suggested, but quite soon was able to walk alone, though he still felt weak. He was haunted by the fears of the shadows, and that they would return, but Zeal remained close beside him, speaking to him often, as if she knew he needed a distraction from his thoughts. Alright, let's take a moment to catch up with chat, and of course, welcome in our raiders! Guys! Welcome in! How you all doing? Welcome in our lovely and amazing raiders from the Digital Adventuring Party. Thank you for bringing your community here. Guys, my name is Marco. I'm the DAG Gamer. This is my place. This is my face. We normally do TTRPGs here on the show, but today is our hangout stream. We're just chilling out, doing some reading, talking all the cool things, including D&D, world building, all the adventuring stuff. Yeah, all that cool things. Now, I hope I've spelled that right. Digital Adventuring Party. Boom. Did you do it right? Yeah, I did it right. Boom. Thank you so much for coming and joining us, and thank you for the follow. Let's read chat a little, shall we? And we'll catch up. Okay, so this is where we were talking about sleep, headphones, and yeah, podcasts and stuff like that. Good for sleep, definitely. As someone who does understand, do know your limits, and please don't fall into the trap of trying to oversleep or undersleep. You know, find what works for you, and have a good system for yourself. Hey, Ben and Paper, good to see you. Welcome in, buddy. Guys, again, another fantastic and amazing streamer. If you are, of course, able to understand German, highly recommend checking out, giving Ben and Paper a good old follow right now. Absolutely wonderful, being a very talented GM as well. I look forward to one day sharing the table yet again with my dear friend. So, yeah. I do think when you work for someone else who's not your friend, night shift's the way to go. Yeah, fair enough. 4 to 6 hours. Yeah, look, I mean, 4 to 6 hours works, but also make sure you nap. 20-minute naps are always optimal if you need them. and take them as long as your body tells you. Because much like when you feel thirsty, when you feel tired, that's your body telling you what you need. Flyer Bowman comes into chat. Boom. New commander deck is finished. Nice. Who's your leader in your commander deck? Let me know. Raiders have just joined in. Yes. Fantastic. Hello, fellow players. Is this one of your favorite books? Oh my god, you've read the book. Amazing. Yeah, this is an actually incredible book. I absolutely love it, Flynn. This is such a cool read. I'm very, very obsessed with this. I love seeing how people work in general, so more so since, yeah, you know what, like, I've got so much to say on the topic of ADHD and modern culture and sociology. My background is actually film, television, as well as behavioral sciences. So go figure. These all make me a great GM. So I love to talk about stuff like sociology and psychology behind things like ADHD and sleep deprivation. Thank you very much. No, thank you. Gemini might actually help you learning. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Have a wonderful time with the book. Gracias, Weaver Dap. Much appreciated. Germany, Austria. Actually, good question. I don't know. I feel like Ben and Paper, you're from Germany, if I'm not mistaken, because I know you through Myri, and they're in Germany. So I presume that. Good luck with the stream. Gracias. Mwah. Very appreciated. Pulled her in a pack, so I said, why not? And started to build her. Yeah, fair enough. With Atraxa. Atraxa the Grand Unifier. Fair enough. Creative Garden, I've been lurking, but I think I need to take advice and listen to my body. I will catch up on the VODs for later. No worries. Please rest up. Absolutely. You know, look, and I mean this in the best kind of way. My channel is always about wellness through gaming, as well as you know, supporting each other emotionally, and that's kind of like the whole thing. So yes, you know, I appreciate and I love the fact that you guys are here. But if you do need to sleep, if you do need some rest, you know, please take it. I will love you all the more for it, because it means that you are looking after yourself, and I don't have to worry about you guys, you know, because I do sometimes, you know. Well, not worry about you guys. I wish you guys all the best, and I do want to know that you guys are doing well. Myri lives half an hour away. Oh, I'm so jealous. Yeah. Germany. Yeah. I guess I should further split the question. Schweiz, Germany, Bavaria, Austria. Yeah, Germany. Yes. Yeah. So this chapter is still going, so we're gonna keep reading in just a moment, before we take a break to ask everyone what they thought of the chapter. But I wanted to catch up and chat because I know we had the Raiders come in, and I wanted you guys to feel welcome. Okay. So we're continuing chapter 15, Shadows. So, and once again, if anyone has any questions they want to ask or anything they want to exclaim violently into chat, please do so. All right. It was broad daylight by the time they reached the end of the rubble, at a place where the cliffs curved to the right. As they rounded the corner and stumbled gratefully down to the smoother ground, they found themselves standing amid a jumble of Bukshah tracks. "There, you see?" Zeal exclaimed, pointing. And sure enough, the tracks ahead, directly for a bright patch of green, a grove of trees nestled hard against the cliff face. They all began moving toward the grove as fast as they were able. The living green startling against the dead gray, black and white of the rest of the landscape, which seemed to beckon them. But Rowan slowly realized that even if they had wished to turn aside from the grove, they could not have done so. The ground on their left had begun to fall away steeply, and soon the black wall of the cliff face rose on one side of them, and the chasm yawned on the other. Like the Bukshah before them, they had no choice but to go forward. The trees seemed to stretch across the path, filling it from edge to edge. Rowan's stomach began to flutter. The situation reminded him unpleasantly of the rock corridor before the Veil of Horrors. He could see that Zeal, Norris, and Sharan were also becoming uneasy. Their brisk pace was slowing little by little, and their feet began to drag. At last the trees, which seemed to loom directly ahead, the four stopped. All instinctively raised their hands to their noses, for a strange, unpleasant odor like the smell of bad eggs hung in the air. I feel I have been herded to this place," Zeal said in a low voice. "I do not like this." "Nor I," Norris agreed, peering into the trees. Yet there seems... No, wait, who says this? No, it's still him. Nor I, said Norris agreed. Yet there seems to be no danger. The Bukshah clearly entered without hesitation. You can see that by their tracks. The Bukshah went through the Veil of Horrors too, Sharan reminded. Just because the place is safe for the beasts does not mean it's safe for us. It may not even be safe for the beasts, Zeal said, glancing at Rowan. The Bukshah entered the grove, but we do not know if they ever left. And that smell... It is not the smell of death, Rowan quickly broke in. But a feeling of dread was also beginning to grow within him. He was certain that the Bukshah were very near. He sensed them, but the grove was utterly silent. Star! He called. The shout echoed dismissively off the cliff walls and died away without response. Star, by the way, is Rowan's kind of like the lead of the lead Bukshah, the like kind of the matron of the herd, and also Rowan's favorite Bukshah, who thus far is fine. One Bukshah has died so far. It was an old one. They may have left the grove long ago and be out of hearing range. Sorry. They may have left the grove long ago and be out of hearing, Sharan whispered, plucking at his sleeve. Rowan realized that she was trying to comfort him, but he could not answer her. He was tingling with the urge to plunge forward into the trees once. But he knew his companions would follow. He could not drag them in a heedless rush into danger. He could not be cautious, too cautious at least. He has to find out all he can before going ahead, though it was agony for him to wait. It was impossible to see far into the grove. Many dead trees had fallen from the cliff atop and now tangled with the branches of the living trees in the grove, forming a thick canopy which shut out light from above. The first few rows of trees were visible, however, and Rowan looked at them very carefully. The first few rows of trees were visible, however, and Rowan looked at them carefully. Certainly they did not look dangerous, nothing like the devil trees of Unrun. They were all one type, sturdy though not very tall, with spreading branches, glossy, well-shaped leaves. The only difference between them was in their bark. The trees that grew at the outer edges of the grove had a rough, shaggy grey bark. The grey bark only appeared in patches on the trees. Further towards the center further towards the center, and trunks and branches of the trees right in the middle were on either side of the Bukshah trail were smooth and white. Perhaps the outer trees needed more protection than the inner ones do, Rowan thought. Perhaps the grove makes its own heat, for he had noticed that the air was warmer in here, and there was little snow on the trees around them. It was very strange, to say the least. We've been climbing steadily all morning, said Zeal, putting his thoughts into words. We are higher on the mountain now. It should be colder here, not warmer. There was a short, anxious silence. Well, what should we do? And then instantly, Rowan's medallion upon his chest grew hot as fire. So this means that Rowan is about to have another prophecy, so we might head straight into the next one, but let's see if there's more stuff to catch. It's sometimes easy to doze off during DAG reads. It's so chill and safe. Aw, thank you. Well, that's the vibe I'm going for, so much appreciation. But that counts from from Hessen. Oh, okay, near Frankfurt. Frankfurt area. Currently living in, not even going to try that. Niederostich is what I'm going to say that is. Moltling, kind of south of Wine. Is this one book or a series of books? It is a series of 5 books. This is book 5, chapter 16. Yeah, like, it's all a good read. And, yeah, it's all a good read. So watching you will probably expand my German vocabulary the way I actually care about. Amazing. Fantastic. Sweet. Please, by all means, click on his name. Give him a follow. Go check out Ben and Paper. Highly recommended. Also, our mutual friend, Myri from Orkenspalter TV. Also from the area and stuff. Niederostich is Lower Austria. Well, you know what? Fun fact as well, Jasper, if you do like world building, I do know that Dungeon Fog, the guys who run Dungeon Fog, are in Vienna. So if you are interested in map making and stuff like that, go consider checking out the Dungeon Fog guys, because, yeah, you know, they're very cool. Are the prophecies riddles? Yes, they are. The prophecies are riddles, yeah. Nidiru Osteriek. Nidiru Osteriek. That's what I'm going to say. And Moodling. There we go. Right, Till needs Liviana. Yeah, Till lives Liviana. Yeah. Love Till. Love Till's face. I should call Till. I haven't spoken to him in ages. I hate the fact that I always forget. Like, I'm like such a bad friend. I feel like I don't have time to call people anymore. But I mean, you guys know what my life is like. You guys see it. It's one stream after the other. That's how it happens. Yeah, I'll message Till. Send some love. Okay. Boom. So, need Ooster Ike. Nieder Oosterreich. Look, okay. Phonic reading doesn't work for Australians, okay? I'll try my I'll try my best, but it's one of those things. I think I'll need to hear it, cause yeah, I will read it wrong, because we're Aussie and we're Ocker, mate. We have a particular dialect that makes it very hard for anyone to understand the words that are coming out of our mouth. All right. Yeah. By the way, this is actually what my real voice sounds like. This is, you know, most of the time when I'm speaking on stream, I use an American accent because I just feel like, you know, it's just easier for people to understand it. I mean, no one really wants to hear me read, like, you know, like in this kind of voice, you know, sort of like, the Bukshah were walking single file up a narrow stairwell cut into the rock. They did not look at Rowan as they remembered him. Their heads were held up high, their horns were sharp and white. Their thick coats seemed to glow. Their hooves were gleaming golden in the sunlight. See? This doesn't work. Dude, I'm Canadian. Yeah, look, replace the word a whenever you would use it in a sentence, and you would, you know, replace it with the word mate, and you're basically Australian, so there you go. You love this? No, I'm not doing a DAG reads in Australian. Jesus, what happened to my voice, sir? Oh, amazing. Could you imagine if that's actually what I sounded like this whole time? I was going to say, don't try and get Aussie to pronounce things. Yep, it was very true. Rowan of Perth. Yeah, it's Rowan of Perth. Rowan of Perth. Yeah. Hey, Ma, I've left the Bukshah field open. Gotta climb that mountain, go fight a dragon. Actually, you know what? There is a really funny TV series called The Wizard of Oz. If you haven't checked it out, it's Oz with OZ. And actually features Marcus from Auntie Donna in it. Freaking hilarious series. Absolutely. 100%. Okay. let's keep reading, shall we? Also, if you're in Canada, that means you should also check out Careful Cantrip, because Careful Cantrip are my my actual role-playing group that I go and do stuff with, and they're all Canadian as well. Canadian proud. My accent's almost gone now. Yeah, fair. Maybe if you did a DAG reads poetry, that'd be interesting. Oh yeah, you know, do DAG reads like you know, like what's it, Edgar Allan Poe, or DAG reads 50 Shades of Grey. Yeah, that could be kind of fun. It would not. It would be horrifying, and I won't do it. G's been wondering for a while if you toned down the Aussie accent. I'm glad I was right to question it. I do. Oh, that's because I have a Western Australian accent. So for me, you'll hear it. Like, I have a lot of Americanisms because I perform with a lot of Americans and I do a lot of voice work. Like just some phrases that I use and things like that. But yeah, this is kind of what we call yuppie Australian. But it's not what I originally sounded like. I actually did originally sound like the one I put on before, but when I learned acting, I had to change my voice. So, well, not had to change my voice, but I chose to change my voice. Yeah. The DM for the Unexpectable is also Canadian. Yeah, actually, it's true. That's true as well. That's absolutely true. From Canada, live in Austria. Ah, right. So time zones are probably crap for that then. Banjo Patterson is meant to be read in Australian accent. I believe that. I believe that wholeheartedly. Maybe I should do that one day. Read Banjo Patterson. Is this a book series or one book? It is a book series. There are 5 books. This is book 5, chapter 16. Redacted. Yes. Okay. From Canada, live in Canada. Cool. Camino Samurai. You know what? Let me do this real quick. We are on break at the moment, but please go and follow my family over at Careful Cantrip. These are my found family. I love them dearly. I did that wrong. We try that again. Because I put a space in where there shouldn't be. There it is. Boom. Do that. That one. Yeah, there we go. Cool. So yes, that is my found family for my TTRPG stuff. So go and give that a follow if you're, yeah. Can I make a recommendation for the next book you read? Yes. Yes, you can. If you can, I would say do it in Discord and put it in the Ask DAG channel. That would be the best way to make sure that I don't forget it if you're actually genuinely going to make a recommendation. Because I will absolutely hear recommendations. All right. CC is great. Yeah, CC is great. CC is amazing. Love you, CC. What's easy for you to do the rest of your Aussie accent when you're away from the internet? It depends on who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to, like, work colleagues, I will actually do the Australian accent very naturally. This is my normal speaking voice. This is, like, because I'm not talking to anyone. I'm kind of, like, just talking aloud. So this is probably the closest to my, like, current standard voice. But, like, I know when I talk to my parents, I have a slightly thicker, slightly Asian accent. And I know when I talk to, like, I got some really bogan friends, like some really thick Aussie friends. And I know I bust it out when I'm talking to them. So kind of depends on who I'm talking to, you know, as to what my accent does. So, yeah. Name of the Wind. Ooh, that's cool. Rothfuss. Rothfuss? Don't know Rothfuss? All right. I'd love to see and hear you read His Dark Materials. His Dark Materials. I don't know that book. As I mentioned, I don't read very often. This is me trying to improve my reading. So yeah, if you guys have suggestions, throw them out there. I will give them genuine consideration. So yeah. All right. Chapter 16. The Grove. This time the rhyme came more easily. The burning and choking feeling was much less, and even the voice sounded more like Rowan's own. But somehow this made the experience even more horrible. Rowan's stomach heaved helplessly as he mouthed the words as new and strange to him as they were to his companions. Make haste, your way is straight ahead. Cast aside the fallen dead. Life will ebb you if you despair. Sickness heals and foul makes fair. As the last words fell from his lips, he braced himself, determined not to sink to the ground. But he need not have worried. Zeal, Norris, and Sharan had already gathered around him, ready to support him. Sheba said, "Learn what it is to be what I am," he murmured, looking around at them. "I know now all too well, and I wish I did not." "Anyone of sense would feel the same," Norris said bluntly. "I beg your pardon, Rowan. I should have watched my tongue, and it was all for nothing. That accursed riddle offered us little help and less hope." Cast aside the fallen dead. Rowan shivered. The rhyme told us to move straight ahead and to make haste, Norris. Oh, sorry. The rhyme told us to move straight ahead and to make haste, Norris, Zeal snapped. It also told us not to despair. These things at least we can understand. For the rest, we will see. See you, Flyer. Mwah! Love your face! Zeal then turned to Rowan. Are you able to move on your own? For answer, he stepped forward into the shadows of the trees. The others quickly crowded around him. Together they began to follow the Bukshah tracks, the smooth white trunks of the trees rising on either side of them like guideposts. White bows laced over their heads. They kept close together, their eyes and ears strained for any sudden sound or movement. But all was still, and the trees closed in around them. The silence and shade grew deeper. They said little to one another, and when they did speak, it was in whispers. Soon the tangled canopy became so low that Norris had to limp along with his shoulders bowed and his head bent over. A light mist hung in the dimness, mingling with the mist of their breath, and the evil smell that they had noticed earlier was now becoming stronger. Then Rowan saw a glimmer of light ahead. His heart thudded. Had they reached the end of the grove already? Zeal, he whispered. I see it, she hissed from behind him. It's some sort of clearing, I think, and the smell is coming from there, I'm sure of it. Rowan had to force himself not to break into a run. His breath was coming fast. The skin off his chest had chest and back had begun prickling and itching unbearably. I'm sweating, he thought. The cloak is too warm for this place. But he did not consider pausing to take the cloak off. Soon the clearing was very near. But still Rowan could see little detail of the thick mist which hung within it. He could only see shapes and colors. The ground was not flat, but heaped with angular shapes of green and white. Amidst the green and white there were patches of grey ones and black ones. There was no movement anywhere. Rowan began moving. Take care, Zeal warned from behind. Rowan. Sorry, let me try that again. Rowan! Then Sharan screamed. Rowan and Zeal both swung around. Sharan was clawing frantically at her shoulders, her face alive with horror. Norris was trying vainly to help her. Get it off! Sharan was shrieking. Help me! What is it? Zeal said sharply. Sharan, be still. Take your hand away, we cannot see. They're on you too! Sharan cried, shuddering with revulsion. Oh, they're everywhere! Oh, horrible! Rowan's skin crawled as he saw beneath her clutched fingers a grey, rough-skinned, star-shaped fastening to her shoulder, flattened against the ragged wool of her cloak. It was perfectly disguised, almost invisible, but now he had seen what others could not. One on the other side, and yet one on her arm. On Zeal's arm too, and on the back of her neck. And there, clinging to Norris's hood, were two more. Where had they come from? As the question raced through his mind, the tree branches above As the question raced through his mind, the tree branches above Sharan's head seemed to move, and a flabby star-shaped piece of bark peeled away and dropped quietly onto her back. The bark on the trees, Rowan stuttered. It's not bark. It is... They are... His chest prickled. Filled with a sudden terrible suspicion, he looked down and shouted aloud in a horrifying disgust as his chest was covered in a grey, shaggy mass. Some of the creatures were still wriggling, settling into place. Others were well fixed and had clearly been so for some time before they were swollen and plump with Rowan's blood. Frantically, Rowan pulled, trying to grab the things away. Needle pains shoot through his flesh as he tugged at them, but the grey things clung. Heat your knife, Rowan, in the torch. Heat your knife in the torch, Flame Rowan. He heard Zeal shouting over Sharan's screams. Hot metal will surely make them break their grip. As Rowan fumbled for his knife, an overhanging branch brushed his wrist, and another of the creatures slid onto the back of his hands. Okay, I'm gonna pause here a second. Fuck me. It's giving me the heebies and the fucking jeebies. Holy shit. Ah, my God. Oh, you know what? Because in my head, sorry, content warning, please. If you do suffer from any form of creepy, crawly phobia thing, you know, give me 5 seconds, okay? But there's this picture that I always get in my mind. It's like a clump of like daddy long legs spiders, right? In a big nest, and someone pokes it and it just erupts into these clawing things. I'm just imagining these things all over them, and holy shit. Oh, that's fucking got me. That did. I just needed a moment to just freak out on you guys. Thank you. Also, guys, thank you so much for the hype train. Tony the Ticket coming in with a gifted sub to Jasper. You wonderful bean. Thank you so much. Jasper, Tony is one of our most avid supporters. We love Tony very, very dearly. And thank you so much once again for showing and sharing your generosity with our community. Mwah! I hope you are doing well. What the fuck is Australia? Yeah, there we get that as well. We get that a lot. Ben and Paper coming in with their Prime subscribe. Thank you so much, Ben. Much appreciated, my friend. And then, of course, the push to the hype train from Mythical Turian. Thank you so freaking much. Also, we are at 69% of the hype train. Nice. Okay. Okay. Everything's itchy. God damn freaking books, right? Okay. Oosa. Okay. Whew. His chest prickled, and filled with a terrible suspicion, he looked down and shouted aloud in horrifying disgust. His chest was covered in a mass of shaggy grey. Some of the creatures were still wriggling, still settling into place, while others were well fixated, and had clearly been for some time. They were swollen and plump. Plump with blood. Hey, cross the streams. Thank you for the 200 bits. And holy crap, McClover! Exploding my freaking chat with another gifted sub bomb. Thank you so much for the 5 gifted sub, my dude. Look, I'm gonna tell you guys this. I set you the when I set you guys the challenge, right? When someone in my chat said, you know, we hit 250 subscribers for your channel, you know, we'll break whatever your next record is. When I set it to 500, I'm not lying, right? It's a thing where I was like, they'll never hit that. They'll never hit that, okay? And I, you know, like, across the streams, I love your face, and I love you, Tony, and I love all you other people who have helped me with the sub train. But guys, it's whenever I set these challenges is to kind of put me at ease, to go like, I haven't gotten this. It's okay though. It's fine. Every time we hit these goals, I can't do what I'm doing, whether it's reading or whether it's running a game, because my mind just starts to leak from all the generosity. Guys, you are too nice. Thank you so much for the gifted subs. We are at 269, so I'm still going to keep that nice. And we have also now hit a level 3 hype train. So thank you. All proceeds, by the way, for today, including donations and stuff, go towards this thing here, which is my airfare ticket to Gen Con. So, yeah, you know, living in Australia kind of is expensive. So, there it is. So, everything, the Twitch subs, all of that, it's going towards it. So, it is truly appreciated. And if you do manage to, if you are one of the donators and you are finding yourself at Gen Con, please, 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 let me know in my Discord. Let me know, and I will try to make time to come and hang out with you guys, or at least let you guys know where I am, so you can, you know, we can come and I can give you like a firm handshake or a hug or a high five, or just kind of do one of these kind of things if you're not a touchy person, because, you know, I'd love to get to see you guys in person. So there you go. Okay. It was no one mentioned at school yet. Oh yeah. Okay. So. Heat the knife with your torch, Rowan, he heard Zeal shouting over Sharan's screams. Hot metal will surely make them break their grip. As Rowan fumbled for his knife, an overhanging branch brushed his wrist, and yet another one of the creatures had slid onto the back of his hand. With a cry, he flung out his arm, and the creature flew spinning away. But as he looked after it, he saw that the canopies were swarming with others, and hundreds more were still leaving the trunk of the trees beyond the pathway, climbing upwards to join the moving crowd, stealthily heading towards him and his companions. Run! He said. Out of the trees! They ran, stumbling clumsily towards the clearing, their heads down, their cloaks wrapped around them, shuddering and sobbing with horror. As they threw themselves out of the crawling green shade and onto a foul-smelling, steaming heap of dead trees, tangled vines, they saw the Bukshah. The beasts were lying near the center of the litter, as still as stone. Their shaggy bodies were covered with star-shaped creatures, so swollen and fitted so closely together, it was hard to tell where one creature ended and the other began. Schoolie High, thank you so much. Holy crap. Dude, thank you so much for handing out another 5 gifted sub across the stream for another 200, bringing us straight through and blasting us through Hype 3 and into Hype 4. Guys, that is so incredible. Thank you so much. And Josh the Pirate, if you're sneaking around in chat, I see you. Thank you so much. All right. This is a touching moment. I'm supposed to be sad. I'm feeling sad. They found some of the Bukshah, and they've been attacked by these things. Okay. Let's do this. We will not hit level 12. We will not beat that record today, and do not challenge me on that. Just... it's a reading stream, guys. With at least the D&D streams, I can give you guys something back for that. Like, you know, you get level 12 spells or something, right? But this is a reading stream. I got nothing. I got a book, okay? That's all I got. Dude. I don't know how to deal with generosity. It's a whole thing. You can donate your time and expenses to travel. You know what? Much appreciated, Jasper. All I want from you is for you to be the best you that you can be. If you ever feel like the mood strikes you to come and hang out, just come hang out. That's it. That's all I want from my audience. Bits, subscribes, donations, these things help me keep my lights on. These things help me pay my mortgage. It is truly appreciated. But more importantly, I do this because I genuinely want to make the world a better place through gaming and through teaching people that, it's okay to love what you love and to have people who love it with you. So that's me. So yes, time, keep it for yourself. Money, keep for yourself time, keep for yourself. Money, keep for yourself. Just whenever the mood strikes you, feel free to come and hang out. Across the streams, thank you so much for the resub. 3 months in a row. Thank you so much. Helping people travel affordably is like 50% of what I do. Yeah, fair. I'm traveling. See, the thing is while I'm traveling affordably, I'm also trying to travel comfortably because it's a freaking 20-something nonsense hour flight, and I am not doing it in coach because that sucked when I did it in 2019. Yeah. Okay. Good vibes from generosity in. Absorb it into my person. Feeling the love. Love you guys. Now sadness. Okay. And as they drew themselves out of the crawling green shade into the foul-smelling, steaming heap of dead trees and tangled vines, they saw the Bukshah. The beasts were lying near the center of the litter, as still as stone. Their shaggy bodies were covered with star-shaped creatures so swollen and so fitted closely together that it was hard to tell where one ended and another began. Star lay at the herd. Her mighty horns were smeared with mud and wedged under a log. She was covered with these festering parasites. With a cry of anguish, Rowan dropped his torch and leapt forward, clambering over the fallen wood and careless of the thorny vines that tangled and tore at him. He reached Star and fell to his knees, calling her name. Her small black eyes opened. She rumbled softly, deep in her throat, a sound of love and trust. Rowan's heart gave a great thud of disbelieving joy. "She's alive," he shouted, his voice cracking. "Star is still alive! The others, perhaps they too." He swung around to see the Bukshah behind him. It was Treasure, the only black Bukshah in the herd, born in Rin's last spring. Treasure's eyes were closed, and he made no sound as Rowan touched his nose. But he was still warm, still breathing. If Treasure, so young and small, still lived, then there was hope for all the others. Frantically, Rowan crawled between the still grey bodies, and he called the beasts by name, caressing them wherever he could place a hand. And the sound of his voice and the touch of his fingers, warm skin twitched, eyelids fluttered, the beasts groaned and sighed. But it was almost too late, and he knew it. He had seen it in Star's dull eyes and when he heard her feeble voice. How long had it been since the Bukshah had walked through the grove, taking their time to stop and eat the green leaves along the way? How long had it been since the star-shaped creatures clung to the trees on either side of the track and slipped onto their backs, leaving the tree trunks along the center of the grove, smooth and white? Rowan could guess how it had been. By the time the Bukshah had stumbled out of the trees, they were all covered with parasites and weakening fast. Star tried to lead them across the clearing, but one by one they had fallen, and they had lain here helpless ever since, slowly being drained of their life. He stared up, looking wildly around him. He was dizzy, and for a moment his eyes would not focus. Where was Zeal, Sharan, and Norris? Why had they not come to help him? He could not believe it when he saw that they were still where he had left them. Sharan on her knees, her face white as chalk. Norris bent over, looking sick and panic-stricken, and Zeal stood beside them. "Help me, Zeal!" Rowan roared. "Bring the torch! Make haste!" Zeal shook her head and beckoned. Inwardly raging at the delay, Rowan began clambering back towards them over the sea of fallen trees. They came to meet him, moving slowly. "You must help me," he bursted out at last they came together. "The Bukshah are dying. I need to." "It's no use, Rowan," Zeal broke in quietly. "Do you think we've been standing idle? We've been trying to remove the vile things from our own bodies, and we cannot. It is as if they're made of stone. My dagger could not harm them. Cold, warm, or red hot." Gaped at her. But surely," she stood, shaking her head.
Even naked flame does no good. I've tried it. And ruefully she showed him her arm. 2 hideous star-shaped creatures clung there, unmarked. In the great center, a patch of charred cloth and raw, blistered skin. Zeal! Rowan breathed. Sharan gave a choking sob, and Norris grimaced. She did it before we could stop her, he said grimly. Zeal shrugged. I had to try it, she said. These things are sucking the life out of us, and it would not take them long to finish the job, I fear. Sorry. It would not take them long to finish the job, I fear, said Norris. If they can fill the Bukshah in a day, how much more easier will they finish us? Sharan slumped onto the log, her face shadowed with pale despair. Life will ebb if you despair. Wait, Rowan exclaimed. We have forgotten the rhyme. Sharan looked up, her eyes startled, and slowly she repeated the words herself. Make haste, your way is straight ahead. Cast aside the fallen dead. Life will ebb if you despair. Sickness heals, and foul makes fair. Truly our lives and the lives of the Bukshah will ebb away if we give up, Norris said. That line at least we can understand, but what of the rest? Do the first line mean that we must leave the beasts to their fate and move forward if we wish to save ourselves? Rowan gnawed at his lips. The idea had occurred to him, but he did not wish to believe it. If we go straight ahead, that only means we cross the clearing and go through the trees to the other side, Zeal said. But the trees over there are thick with the star creatures. Every trunk is grey. Perhaps the creatures cannot live outside the grove, Sharan suggested. Perhaps if we leave it, we'll be free of them. Norris looked hopeful, but Zeal shook her head. I think you'll find that they can live wherever wherever there are trees to support them, she said, and pointed at the dead trees where Sharan was sitting, and the other dead trees lying about. White trunks were so studded with star-shaped marks. These trees have died and fallen from the cliff top, Zeal went on, and clearly the star creatures once lived on them, just as they live on the trees here. They suck the sap, perhaps, she added calmly, until richer food comes their way. Rowan saw Sharan's face grow paler. Perhaps it's because the trees on top of the cliff died, that the trees in the grove are so heavily infested. If the trees above died and fell, and in a blinding flash he saw the answer. The fallen dead, he said. The trees! The dead trees lying in this clearing. They are what must be cast aside. But why? Zeal asked blankly. Because there's something beneath them, Norris exclaimed. Something that'll help us, and... But the clearing is heaped with dead trees, Zeal objected. We cannot possibly move them all, not in time, not... We do not have to move them all, said Rowan, his heart swelling. He turned and looked at the place where Star lay. He knew without a doubt that Star had fought her weakness to the end. She would have tried to save the herd, and she had collapsed with her muddy horns still locked beneath the tree trunk. There, he pointed. There where Star lies, and the midst, and in the mist where the smell is the strongest. That's where we must clear the fallen dead. Whatever lies below, this is our answer. Chapter 17. Foul makes fair. Sickness heals. Maybe the creature will help them somehow. True, maybe. Desperately need to change my display name. Jasper CY. Why? I don't know. I think it's a good name. I think it's a fine name. Horrifying. Hitting the hype train, level 3. Man, I'm so tense. I'm not going to stop for too long, but I'm going to keep reading. We have to talk. Yeah, no, look, always happy to talk. Always happy to talk. Okay. Foul makes fair. Rowan was desperate. Zeal was determined, and Sharan did not spare herself. But all of them were growing weaker by the moment, and the task would have been hopeless had it not been for Norris. Norris saw at once that they could not move the fallen trees by brute force, and instead tied ropes to them. He found long, straight branches which he could use to lever and pry the white trunks up from the ropes that were pulled. Zeal and Sharan took charge of the ropes, while Norris and Rowan handled the levers. Sweating and straining, the companions pushed and pulled To Norris's command until with a creaking, cracking sound, each tree shifted little by little from the place where it had lain for so long. For hours they labored, as light slowly dimmed in the sky above them. They moved aside, one tree after another, uncovering nothing but more broken, tangled branches, more sad, uprooted trunks. Norris's face was gray, set in deep lines of pain. The wound at his side had reopened, his injured leg barely able to support him any further. But he would not rest, would not stop. Again he placed the levers, tied the ropes, and again he gave his orders and began limping to his place, ready to heave once more. One to fight, Rowan thought distantly. But Norris would never recover from this. Perhaps none of us would. Perhaps this is how the story ends. He could feel his mind clouding. He knew the creatures which clung to him were draining his strength and his willpower. He watched unsurprised, without warning, as Norris stumbled and swayed, then crumpled slowly to the ground between Star and Treasure. Sharon's cries rang in his ears like distant bells as she ran to her brother and bent over him. Rowan's eyes met Zeal. "One more," she said, and wound the rope around her hand. He nodded dully and moved to the place where Norris would have stood. He took hold of the long branch jammed between the tree trunks. "Now," he called, and summoning the last of his strength, the last of his hope and will, he pushed down. For a long moment nothing happened, and the tree did nothing. When suddenly it moved. Rowan heard Zeal's grunt of triumph and saw the rope straining as he pushed again and pushed with all of his strength. But there was resistance. Something was holding the tree down. Something... "Sharon!" he shouted. "Help us here!" He did not really believe Sharon would come. But she did. Tear-stained, pale as a ghost, she slipped in front of him and threw her tiny weight onto the branch. As though it was enough, there was a sucking sound of the ground, and the trees rolled aside, and as it did, a great solid mat of rotten woods, vine, and dead leaves moved with it, and a foul-smelling steam billowed from the place where it had once laid. Dizzying, staggering with weariness, Rowan, Zeal, and Sharon stared at the thing they had uncovered. It was a bubbling pool of steaming water. Star and Norris lay in the mud at its edge. Sharon sat down suddenly with her eyes wide in shock. Cautiously, Zeal leant forward and tested the water with the tip of her finger. "It's hot," she said in awe. "Water bubbling from the ground. It's a miracle." She sat back on her heels, wrinkling her nose, but the water is foul. It stinks like 1,000 eggs gone stale. Sickness heals. Foul makes fair. Rowan was speechless, consumed with desperate hope. He knelt below Star and cautiously dipped a cupped hand into the spring. He felt the warmth and a mild tingling, but nothing more. He lifted his hand, brimming with the cloudy water, and held it close to Star's nose. "Star," he whispered, "is this what you were seeking? Is this what will help you? Help us." Star's eye opened. She saw the water dribbling through Rowan's fingers. She snuffed at its odor and reached out with her nostril and struggled to rise. But she did not lick Rowan's hand, only rubbed her nose against them. Rowan knew that the water was not meant to be drunk, but to be bathed in. "Zeal," he cried, your arm, put it into the water." Zeal plunged her injured arm deep into the spring. She held it there for a count of 3, and when she drew it out, the star creature had fallen away. It was bobbing, curled and dead, amidst the bubbles of the spring's surface. This Rowan had been hoping for. But what he had not expected, what made him gasp with wonder, and Sharon cry out aloud, was that Zeal's burnt and blistered skin was now whole and smooth again. Zeal was looking down at her arm in amazement. I cannot believe it," she stammered. "It's like magic," Sharon breathed. "It's like the magic spring of the fairylands Grandfather used to tell me of long ago." Hope leapt to her face, flaring like a candle in a flame. She scrambled over the mud over to her brother. Zeal and Rowan ran to help her, and together they wrested Nora's limp and heavy body to the spring. He woke at the touch of the water and flailed in panic, groaning and coughing, and suddenly grew still. his face changed and opened, free of pain, with a round of surprise. Leaving him to Zeal and Sharan, Rowan swung back to Star. She was struggling to rise, with a bravery that nearly broke his heart. Tears sprang to his eyes as he vainly tried to help, and Norris, Sharan, and Zeal all helping with him, dripping wet, all now free of the parasites, their eyes gleaming and clear. As they too bent over Star, the water streaming from their hands and clothes ran upon her body. Wherever the water fell, the star creatures curled and dropped away. Star groaned with relief and struggled again, at last finding her feet. She then stood thin, swaying by the bubbling pool. She did not move at once into the water, instead bellowing, calling the herd to command them to hear her. The other Bukshah stirred. Everywhere ears flickered, feebly, dull eyes opening as Star bellowed again. Then suddenly she lunged forward, collapsing into the center of the pool with a mighty splash, sinking beneath its surface. Water rose in a great surge over the muddy bank, drenching Treasure and a dozen of the other beasts, spraying them with a clear, warm, muddy rain. The surface of the spring seemed to boil as Star sank deeper. With a cry of fear, Rowan plunged in after her. The smell of water burnt in her nose, caught in his throat, making him choke and gag. Frantically, he strained to see beneath the bubbling, leaf-fouled surface. He caught a glimpse of something pale far below, and dived, eyes shut, hand outstretched, feeling his way blindly. He suddenly felt a stinging pain as the point of one of Star's horns pierced his palm. He slid down and took a firmer grip and held on, and with all his strength pulled upwards. But it's as though Star was a huge stone. He could not lift her. His lungs felt as though they were bursting. He felt something dragging at his cloak. Someone was trying to pull him up, but he was anchored by his own grip to Star and would not let go. Suddenly there was a moment from below, and in a rush of bubbles he was propelled upwards into the light, his head breaking through the surface as he gasped for air. His ears ringing as he opened his blurred eyes, and the first thing he saw was Norris's sleek, drenched head bobbing beside him. Norris had hold of his cloak. Norris was trying to drag him back towards the bank, mouthing words he could not hear. Then both of them were tumbled sideways as a shower of spray from Star's massive body surfaced almost directly below them. With a stab of joy, Rowan saw the great Bukshah lift her head clear of the water and began swimming powerfully. Her eyes were bright, her horns were gleaming white. The water streamed from her woolly mane. Rowan shouted, choked, and then shouted again, but to his amazement, as he tried to reach out for her, Star nudged him vigorously aside towards the shallows. He found his feet and fell to his knees, dizzy with hurt and confusion. He felt Norris pulling at him, and he heard Star's bellowing. Finally, his ringing ears made sense of Norris's shouts. "Get out, Rowan!" Norris was bawling. "You'll be crushed! Make way for them!" Then Rowan saw that Star was not the only Bukshah in the spring. Treasure was already up to his neck in the water. Two other calves, Misty and Sprite, were splashing unsteadily after him. Three more followed, and behind them were other members of the herd, thin, weak, and staggering. Star creatures covering them like hideous armor, except where they had been sprayed by Star's first mighty plunge into the water. Frantically, the huge ragged beasts pushed forward, blind and deaf to everything but the spring. Norris hauled Rowan out of the path. An instant later, hooves were trampling the mud where the two had once lain. In threes and fours, the Bukshah sank into the deep water, moaning with relief as the parasites left them, raising their heads and then swimming to the opposite side of the spring, where Star now stood waiting for them. When all of them had made it across, when all were standing, steaming, dripping on the other side of the spring, Rowan, Zeal, Sharan, and Norris collected their possessions and followed them. They spent the night in the clearing, the Bukshah all around them. Despite having been soaked through, they were not cold, for the air beside the spring was as warm as a summer afternoon in Rin. Though it did not smell sweet, they lit a fire and heated a little water for tea, and toasted bread to eat with cheese and honey. As the sun set, they lay down and slept well and deeply. For they knew that they were in the least they knew at least here the ice creepers could not come. It was still very dark when Rowan awoke. Star's nose nudging at his cheeks gently, her great curved horns sharpened to knife points upon the rock walls and the vales below. They loomed a little too close to his eyes for comfort. Star? Why do you wake me so soon? He mumbled, rolling over. Dawn must still be hours away. Star rumbled to him and pawed the ground before turning away. He sat up and saw that the other beasts were already standing, waiting. He watched as Star passed through them and began to lead them back through the trees. The herd was on the move again. Quickly, Rowan roused Norris, Sharan, and Zeal. Each of them took a hurried sip of water and a handful of dried berries, then lit their torches, shouldered their packs, and began to follow the Bukshah. Even Zeal was still rubbing the sleep from her eyes. The path through the trees beyond the spring were cluttered with dead wood, but the Bukshah pushed through every obstacle, crushing it underfoot and clearing the way. The four strolled after them, reveling in the luxury of a renewed strength and freedom from pain. The torchlight flickered on the trees, flickered on the star creatures thickly as they clustered on the trunks and branches. But few of the parasites tried to settle on the humans or beast. Those that did paid instantly for their mistake, falling dead as soon as they touched their hair and garments, still damp with the water from the spring. Slowly the dampness disappeared in the forest warmth, and Rowan began to fear, but still the star creatures held back, and still the humans and beasts walked in peace, as if the water had given them a protective coating. It was like a walk in a dream, and it ended only too quickly. The sun was set far below the horizon when Rowan, Zeal, and Sharan and Norris had stepped from beyond the trees, but they could see well enough the bleak and brutal place of the icy rocks to which they had now come. They were standing on the only level place in the landscape of sharp angles. Boulders cluttered in the slopes ahead. To the right rose the cliffs wreathed in mist, capped with dead trees and snow. The sheer black cliffs on the walls were half hidden by the tumbling of huge, jagged rocks piled against them. To the left, all was darkness, but Rowan could see the ground sloped away from an area where they stood familiarly, steep and barren. Somehow now, dreadfully familiar. Zeal shivered. We've reached the mountain's western face, she said in a low voice. Below us is the pit of Unrin. And that, I think, is where we're going to leave today's session. I think next week will probably be the last session for this particular book. But this has been an incredible journey. I was so worried about the Bukshah in that scene. You have no idea. That was so brilliantly written. That whole section where they were all lying barely alive, I was like... I was so stressed out, and then the creeping, crawling things, this is drama at its finest, you know. You don't know if things are gonna go well, and I love that. I love that Emily Rodder had kind of built that, because I think if no one had died in the franchise, because in the first 3 books, and this is kind of a spoiler, but also not, right? No one dies. There's no death in the first 3 books. Once we get into the 4th and 5th book, we start to see her introduce the concepts of, like, characters getting killed by stuff. Especially re-emphasized when Neil the Potter dies in quite a horrendous way. Like getting ripped apart by the creepers, the icy creepers. So, you know, finding the Bukshah herd mostly dead and stuff like that was so alarming, because I had no idea. You got no clue that that's going to survive, but I'm really grateful and really happy that they did. And that there is still more to the story. But they are coming upon the dawn. They're coming upon to the point where life and death are going to have to mean something. They are now at nearly the top of the mountain with the Bukshah herd, and the only other thing at the top of the mountain here is the dragon. So I think Rowan's journey has begun with the dragon, and I think we're about to see next week how it's going to come back and once again return to the dragon as well. No. We haven't finished the book. This is the end of the stream. Yeah. So next week we'll have to see how that goes. But well, I really hope
I mean, if Star dies, I'm going to cry. Right? Because Star has been there since book 1. She is the one who has been looking after Rowan, almost like a motherly figure, while Rowan has been, like, on his own, before the people have warmed up to him, before all of this sort of stuff, and I don't know. I don't know if I can handle it. I don't know if I can handle it. Alright. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this show, and I hope you enjoyed our playthrough of Four Corners with AJ, Janet from World Anvil, and of course Ellen K. Graham from Roll to Cast. Also, of course, with the amazing and incredible Catchy Cantrip member Ash, who was doing all the artwork and stuff. You know, I mean, I no disrespect to Holly. I think Holly's amazing, but it would be awesome if Ash was available to continue the drawing and stuff like that for the other sessions. But obviously, I know it might be late, it might be hard, because once you get to a point where you've got Aussies, Europeans, and Americans on the same screen, someone's going to be up at bullshit o'clock. It's always the case. Ash said she was doing something later. Do you have any info? Yes, she's preparing for a game over on her channel. I'm going to give Catchy Cantrip another shout out here real quick. If you do want to check out, the channel, boom, there it is. No, that's, I think it might be Catchy Cantrips. Let me try that again. There we go. Boom. That's the one. So if you get a chance to follow the link, go check them out, because you will get, if you follow them, you will get notifications on when they go live, and that'll be for the next game and stuff. So yeah. All right. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the usual folks to raid into. So today, I think I'm just going to bid you all a good night and a farewell. I hope you guys have an amazing time, whatever it happens to be. If it's daytime, enjoy your rest of your day. If it's evening, like me, enjoy your sleep. Yeah, so if you want to check us out next week, then of course we will be doing a read, but I will be awake and back up in about 7 hours for my Patreon game of Pathfinder 2nd Edition. We'll be playing Curse of the Crimson Throne with a bunch of awesome and cool people. They are currently amidst actually, I think they're about to start the new book, which is very exciting. So they are doing battle against a plague monstrosity. And yeah, next step is the new book. So brand new book, brand new chapter of our adventure. So be sure to check it out. And guys, the Eldritch Scribe. Yeah, we can go and raid the Eldritch Scribe. I don't know why they're not showing up on my list. I think it's just one of those things. But let's go raid them. We don't mind raiding the Eldritch Scribe. We like these guys. Let's see, raid Eldritch Scribe. All right. Hey, there we go. Okay, yeah, no, they're showing up. They're not. I don't know why they're not showing up on my list, though. That's weird. I gotta double check that. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Stay safe. Stay wonderful. Be kind to each other, because that's what the world deserves. Until we meet again, as always, from me to you, game hard or die trying. Good night, folks. Mwah.